Welcome back. Continuing on with the bridge decks. Here's all the parts laid out. And there's a few things we want to touch on, which we'll do later regarding the wooden deck, but we'll talk about that when we get there. So the first thing is we want to glue the underside supports onto the decks themselves. Okay, so we use the E6000 again. We'll just put a bead around the and we'll keep away from that centre bit because it's actually recessed, so there's no point filling that with glue. It takes a bit of effort to squeeze the glue on, to be honest. That little nozzle is very restrictive. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll hold this up and we'll use this square here because I want to keep it centered on the end. And we'll hold it down onto the table to keep the back edge nice and flush. We're just, again, using the end here to keep it aligned. Okay. It's looking quite good. You can just use these mini close pegs just to hold it. Try and put the jaws inside between the ribs and not on the ribs themselves. We don't want to distort the brass part. We'll just leave that to go off. And I'll go and do the other one. Let's do a bit of a trial first. Pretty good at that. So we'll leave that one alone to go off now as well. So with the deck glued onto the underside structure, we now need to trial fit how it's going to sit on here. Now, initially I was trying it just using the pressure from the outside and try to determine where it actually sits. Now, there's a few nice touches on here. If we take the con and put it into place, that actually helps with the height because it kind of sits on there. Also, for the fore and aft position, on these large bottom ribs, they're actually stepped, and these edges go up against the con to set the fore position, which is good. So if we slide that forward, we've now got it more or less in position where it needs to go. It needs to come back a wee bit on one side, but that's okay. It kind of stops you going too far forward. Also, if we have a look, and hopefully you can see, on the uprights we've got little flanges or gussets, and they line up with the top of the bridge, the top of the wall there. So that's going to help greatly when it comes time to attach. And as you can see, it sits on top of the con. Now there is additional posts to go on, and that's what that spurs were for, but we can attach them later. The next thing I want to do is put in all the internal underside posts, and you can see there's a number of holes here. And of course they were supplied as plastic mouldings, but we'll replace that with 0.5mm brass wire. So we need to just drill these out first. Okay, so 0.5mm drill. And I'm just going to go right through, and I'm going to do this similar to how we did the boat deck. That's better. Okay, so you can see that's went right through. Now it looks like I'm not very square on the drilling, which isn't very good, but okay, that's better. Okay, so I'll drill all the rest of them and then we can come back. Okay, so what I've done is I've just used crystal clear to temporarily hold that front stanchions because that sets the height at the front here. And then I've taped the major support in position here. And I've also just put a bit over the side of tape just to pull down this front edge because there's a bit of a twist in it. And then I've done the same for the other side. Just lock the support in position and then just some tape here to take any twists out. And then the back was just to get it to sit on top of that shield so the back height set. Okay, so with that now more or less held in position, we can start inserting the stanchions here. Now there is marks on the deck, etched marks. Hopefully you can see there's a little edge mark there, that's what I'm trying to aim for. So what I'll do is, let me just check the upper deck hasn't moved. Everything seems to be still in line. So what I'll now do is, oh look, the stanchions in position with some thin super glue. Okay, so I'll finish doing that and then we'll have a look at the next step. So with all them locked in place, we'll start removing the tape. Now, carefully take that up. What I'll do now is just apply the super glue into the sockets underneath, just to further lock them in place. So we're just relying on capillary action to draw it into the hole. Okay, so we'll let that go off now. And then it's just a case of, I don't know whether I've shown you, you've seen it for the boat decks, just a case of trimming these off, cleaning up, and then we can move on with that. But with this now positioned, we can now attach the remainder of the details on here, which was the gussets or some rails to go on all the portholes. Now, again, another lesson learned was if you're doing the same, don't put these doors on yet. Just be handling them, I keep bending the dogs and they don't take much to break off and I've already lost some. So I've just went around, I'll just take them all off because there's no point having some on and some not. So it's unfortunate, but I should have thought ahead. See, that one's okay, I've lost one dog already, so I'm just going to take them all off. Like I say, no point having some on and some not. So if you're following along, leave these off until now, until you've sorted this out. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do the same for the fore bridge, and then we'll come back and have a look at putting the rest of the details on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, we have some plates here with hatches and cleats that fit on the rear of both superstructures. So the aft one has a simple flat plate, which are these, and they just fit on straight onto it. The foredeck has this plate here, and that requires to be bent. So we'll do that now before we attach any doors and that. So on the back you can see the fold lines, and it actually sits away from that flat plate there. Okay, so we need to put this the same angle on. So we'll get our bending pliers. Okay, so that was overbent. Okay, that looks good. And then this part here just gets bent 90 degrees. Okay, so I'll do the other one. So with the 4 plates bent, we'll solder the hatches on. So as you can see, similar to other parts we've seen from Pontos, the actual locations for the doors or hatches are recessed, and they actually fit in there really nicely. So we're going to solder these, and then hopefully, I don't know if you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cleats, and they go onto little slots in that part there, and we'll try and solder them as well. So we'll do the simple flat one first. So we'll just apply some flux just into the recess, and then onto the backs of the door, the hatch, and then we'll just pick up some solder paste. Don't want a great deal because we don't want to solder popping out everywhere. So we'll just apply the heat now. I held it on there quite a while because I couldn't hear any hissing or sizzling, so I wasn't sure just how much heat was transferring, but that's worked very well. So I can do the other one. But let's do the bent example, because this one's going to be a bit trickier. But again, we'll just we'll flux up the location, and it's this door here. We'll just apply some little bits of solder paste. I might apply the heat to the back, because I don't want to press down on the front so I don't distort the bends we've already made. It's perfect. So the next thing you do is these cleats. They go into these little slots here. I'm just going to apply some flux to the back edge as well. Now the tricky bit's going to get these to okay, that's one. Now the very first one I picked up pinged off, and you have to be careful because you only get one spare, which based on the size of these isn't very generous. I'll just take this away so I can see. Don't know if you can see that. There is 2 cleats on there. I might actually try touching the back. Okay. Don't know how quick you saw that bit, or how well you saw that bit. That was really quick. As soon as I touched it, it went off. And they're secure. Okay, so I'll finish the rest of them and we'll come back. So luckily I found the other cleat lying on the desk, so I didn't need to cut out the spare one. So we'll get these attached now. So we'll do the simple one first. And we'll use some E6000 again. Just going to hold it in position on the deck to see what happens. With it being held on the deck, I can slide it into its proper position. It's a wee bit high, on the top edge, but I'll let that go off and then I can come in and just file that down. Alternatively, I could move this down a bit and then file the bottom, but it'll probably be easier just to file the top because that's now in position there. And again, I'll just position it on the deck. Okay, so we'll do the other one. So this one's a bit trickier because we've only really got that front edge there. So I'm just applying glue, trying to keep it off too far to the top. So as you can see, I've got it lined up in the top there. It needs to go up to the underside. Again, I'll hold it on and see. Okay, so they're on. What a job that was. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to show you. But what I had to end up doing is I held this in position on the hull and then placed these in and tacked it with gel to give me enough time to slide them about. Once they were kind of in place, hopefully you can see that, I put in baking powder and then dripped in some thin super glue to set it hard. Same for the other side, particularly in the corner, in this corner. It was in, not the best, but they're done now, so we'll move on. So the next part we'll fit is the plinths for the 47mm guns. So I'm just going to use some CA gel. One of these off, I'll glue that back on next bit. Okay. So for the other ones, you may remember I soldered these up. Now, one of them I totally messed up and I wasn't very happy with the other one. So I made a couple just out of styrene sheet, just using the brass ones as a guide to the shape and size. Okay, so that's that. So the next thing we'll do is we'll add all these flanges, and you can see the lines on the deck where they're going to go. And I'm just going to use thin CA. Okay. Making sure that they're all vertical. Okay, so let me finish that. So that's them all glued on. I tried the super glue gel and that worked as well. But for this one, I actually put them all on using the micro crystal clear. Just give a bit of wiggle room and time to make sure they're all straight. So that worked out well. So the next part we'll do, I'll use the crystal clear again. And what we need to do is add some supports along the base here, or the underside of this ledge. We've got a number of braces, and we need to make sure that we don't mix up the numbers, because they are handed, and they are slightly different. We've got some angled ones as well in this. So we need to make sure we keep them all in some kind of order. So I'll just check the instructions to see what ones we've got here. So starting from this end, we've got 5 107s, 17s. And then we've got 4. I think we've got some extra 118s here, but that's okay. What we need to do is put a bit of a 90-degree bend on them. So as you can see, there's some bolt detail, and we've got an etched fold line. So it will be easier to grip him on the short part instead of trying to bend the short part. And then we can just put it around, and that should be 90 degrees. Probably too close to the camera to see. But we should bend them to 90 degrees. Making sure we've got these orientated the right way. Crystal clear along the bottom and on that flange. So hopefully you can see on the locating points there's like a center groove, and that's what we're trying to aim for. I messed about a bit too much with this one. That's looking okay there. Let's do another one because that was probably not very clear. So that bottom edge, that fits into the groove, and then this flange here. It's getting hard to hold without. Got to worry about the other bits we've installed. Okay, so we'll aim for that groove, and then up against the wall. Okay. And then we've got a bit of time to maneuver and wiggle it about. But that's looking quite good there. Okay. Okay, so that's them all on now. And as you can see, for the aft one, there's actually angled braces as well. So continuing on with the detail. It's now getting tricky to know where to hold these. We've got these tied on the eyes and a plate that we soldered up a while back, and these are dotted throughout the structures. And again, we're just going to use crystal clear. So I've had a look on the plans where these are supposed to go, and there's 4 to attach. Square them up. Okay, a bit of overflow, that's okay. Just use some water and a brush. And we can clean it up. Okay, so that's them all on. We'll do the portholes next. So I'm going to use the same method I did before for the hull. And that was just to place them in a position like so, and then come in with super glue thin. And just touch against the okay, I got away with that one. It wasn't how I was planning to do it. So the method was to place the porthole and then touch the super glue to the plastic and let the capillary action take the glue around like that. Okay, so I'll do the rest of them again offline. So that's all the portholes done. Now, the last thing I'm going to do before paint is probably going to be the trickiest and painful, is these handrails. And they fit on the front panel and down the sides. I'm not actually sure how I'm going to do this. Okay, so that's not the right one. So just a note, on the plans it's number 114. It's actually 113, and they line up with the marks. What I might do, I'll try super glue first. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It's a wee bit pointing upwards, but to be honest, I might just leave it because it's actually got a good hold. If I start trying to move it, I'll just break the bonds. Okay, so see if we can do the same thing again. Now, one good point, and it's actually very well thought out from Pontos, is the attachment points to the fret is on the ends and on the top. And that way you don't have to cut the pegs here, which risks the chance of getting them uneven. So by them not having locating points is actually a good move. Okay, so the first time was pure luck. Okay, it's on anyway. Okay, so I finally got that bloody handrails on. Not sure how long they'll last. But I've done as much as I want to do now, so we'll get on to prime and paint. Just making sure I haven't knocked anything off. What I'll do next for priming and painting, I'll just glue a cocktail stick to the inside, just so I can minimise how much handling I'm doing. Shit. Oh, it's okay, it's protected. So just super glue gel up into the corners, so I can just snap it off. It won't affect anything. You'll never see in here anyway. Okay, so it's getting really tricky to hold these things. So that's the painting finished on the superstructures. It's not too bad. So all that remains now is to attach some of the parts that we prepared earlier. Okay, be careful where I touch this. So we've got a number of hatches or some kind of plates to attach first, and I'm just going to use crystal clear. Okay, and then we've got a number of smaller ones to attach. Okay, so now attach some of the plastic details in that, and for that I'm going to use the Revel contactor. And again, I'll just apply it with a toothpick to keep the so there's 2 each on these. So the last thing to put on is the cons. Okay, so that's as much as I'm going to do with the superstructures now. There's still a number of bits to put on, such as handrails. The rear one has a boom it's to fit on here, that'll do for the time being. With the superstructures more or less finished, I went ahead and cleaned up the decks, and I've primed and painted these. So the next thing to do is attach the wooden decks, and that's where the next problem arises. So as you can see, the decks have started peeling away from the ship, and that's after only 4 months maybe. So I had a look online to see how to move forward, and I came across a forum where the guy uses a heavy gel medium. So I went ahead and purchased this. I think it's the equivalent. It's not the same brand as the guy used, but I'll follow his instructions and we'll see how we get on. So the first thing we need to do is flatten or deaden or nullify the adhesive. So on the form, the guy used, I think it was crayon matte varnish aerosol spray. No, I don't have that. Oops. This sticks to everything except the model. What I'm going to use instead is Tamiya's flat clear, and I'm guessing it's the same outcome. Okay. I'll do the next one, and then we'll come back and I'll be able to see if it's still sticky, meaning I've missed. Okay, so that's even after just a minute or two, there's no stickiness left. So with the varnish set up, we can now apply the gel medium. Now, this is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Apparently we need lots of water and some brushes to work the deck down. And the guy was very liberal with his gel medium. Now we're getting some excess coming out, but that's okay, because it will clean up with water. And in the forum, I mean, it was just pictures, there was no video. But he wasn't shy of wetting the decks and using a wet brush to work the deck down. And the water didn't appear to affect the wood at all. Once it dried, it was fine. The only difference between his gel and mine is his was matte, mine's is gloss, but I don't think it will matter. Okay, so that seems to have gone down pretty well. And he was mentioned in the forum that he never had any problems with the decks lifting again. So here's hoping. Okay, so that one, I just need to push it down a bit, it's kind of rode up. It seems to have went down pretty well. Some gel here on the side. Should be able to clean it off. So we'll put the KA Models deck on, because remember we don't get this one with Pontos. I did spray this on with brown just to see if it affected the colour. It maybe darkened it a wee bit. Okay, it's not looking too bad at all. Let's do the fore deck. I'm loath to, I know the guy had no problems, just slapping it on, but I'm always wary of clean up. It makes it a bit trickier because I've got the supports on the underside, so just holding it's going to be a bit. Okay, I managed to squeeze an extra bubble like glue out, or medium. I think that's it. Now I have moved one of these ribs back and glue that back in. Yeah, I'll just use super glue to put that one back in. That's okay. I'm just thinking as well that because I've used gloss, if there's any shiny bits, I could just go over it with the matte varnish to knock it down again. These corners are slightly raised, and that's where I've trimmed the posts underneath. Obviously they were a bit proud and not flush enough, but that seems to be working okay. Now again, we'll use the KA models for the internal deck because it doesn't come with Pontos. Right, we'll leave that to set up, and then we can come back and see how we go. I'll fix that broken rib. So moving on with the cabins, we've got some brass doors here to solder up and attach. Now these are handed because we've got a left and a right. So these doors here are obviously the Pontos ones, and they fit into the recesses on the side walls there. KA models actually supply wooden laser cut doors, and they actually look really quite nice. So a bit of stain and varnish, and it become really lifelike, I guess. I'd assume that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doors. So we've got 7 because I'm guessing these are paired. You need to stick them together. I initially thought we had like 14 doors, but no, I think it's just 6 doors plus a spare. But I'm not going to use these anyway. I'm going to keep going with the brass. So the next thing is to solder up these. And we'll do that now. Okay, so we'll fold this up. So hopefully you can see that it's actually got like a door lintel at the top there. And that fits into a recess on the wall. And I'm going to make these positions so they're in the open. So with the door folded, just to solder it up, we'll just close it up like that. I've kept the frame in its unbent state at the moment. And then we'll just put some flux on the end. We'll pick up the smallest bit of solder. That's quite good. Very little over the edge. We'll do the same for the top. And then we'll go down the back edge. Actually, it's the front edge. So that's looking quite good. There's very little cleanup required. So I might just scrape my knife. Oh, actually no. Just was a little blob. That's looking good. For some of the solder I went over the front face, you can just scrape off. So it's now time to fit the door. So what we need to do, now hopefully you can see this, but there's actually an etched recess all the way around, including the top door lintel, and hopefully that will sit into that recess. On the door itself, on the back side of the frame, you can see it's smooth. And then on the front, we've got like an etched line as well. The doors are handed, so you need to double check to see what way the door actually fits onto the cabin. Now, for the main bridge, the doors are hung on the front edge. So it actually goes in like that. So hopefully I can get this to sit in that actual recess, because I'm going to try and solder it as well. Yeah, it will sit flush in there. So I might try it on this one, it'll be easier for access. I'll just open the door a wee bit. And you can see that it sits there nicely. So I'll just try and put a little bit of solder in the corner there. Just put a bit of flux on the edge there. Okay, that seemed to have held pretty good. I can just open it, close the door a wee bit. So I only put a tiny bit on that edge. And what I'll do, I'll see if I can do the same in there. Let's see if I can come in. Okay, to clean it up, I'll just scrape off any excess. I mean, there's very little there. It was very neat. Okay, so the door frame's sitting a wee bit proud at the front edge there, or the inside edge. It's probably not very clear for you, but I'll just run a bead in the inside there as well. Or not even a bead, just a little dot. So again, I'll come in from the top inside. A wee bit of a bit lumpy this one, but you're never ever going to see in there. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. The actual door position, I'll just probably leave it slightly like that. And I'm going to leave them all open just for a bit of interest. Of course, we now have to be careful handling this because we've got these doors open. But I'll go off and do the rest of them. Okay, so I've got 3 on now. First 2 on that side was using the solder wire. But as with most things I do for the first time, as I progress, I come across better methods or change my method up. So what I want to show for this last door here is, rather than trying to use the solder wire, I'm actually going to use solder paste, because what I can do is just smear it on in the joint there. I'm trying to show so you can see. And then I can just come in with the iron to melt the paste. And of course the paste is flowing a lot easier. There's a lot less of it than trying to manage a big blob in the end of the soldering iron. again, okay, so hopefully it's a good view for you. You know, see a wee bit on the edge there, but nothing on the front face. So same again, we'll just come in, doing too much flux. Because remember, solder flows where there's flux and heat, so don't know if you can see that, it's the tiniest blobs. And then we'll just come in again. And then that was a really good little run there. Nothing on the front. Okay, so that's a much better method than trying to pick up solder with iron and then deposit it. In fact, I don't even need to clamp the rest of it. If I can just put a little blob in the inside corner there. And there should be all I need. Okay, so yeah, I can just move that to match them. I don't want to move moving in back and forth so we don't snap them off. And I'll just do the same for the little aft cabin. And again, we just need to make sure we get the door orientation correct. Okay, so that's a small cabin done as well. Using the paste is so much cleaner. Bit of flux on the outside, but we'll clean it up with some IPA or acetone. But the point is, the inside is a heaps cleaner. Looks a wee bit messy there, but you never see it. So we can now glue the cabin tops on. So as you remember, we prepared these earlier, and it fits very good. Particularly this one where I didn't cut too far in. So we've got a nice edge to slide into. So I'm just making sure it's fully home all the way around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use thin CA with a long nozzle, and then just holding it down, I'll just squeeze some in and let the capillary action work around. Try not to block your view. Just go right into the corner, just dispense. And we'll do the same for the smaller one. Oh, I just realised I forgot to clean up the flux. I can use IPA. IPA won't affect the super glue. So I've primed the cabins ready for paint. And again, that was just with the usual Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500. Now I'm going to paint the insides, and just for simplicity, because I'm not too fussed about the actual finish or the colour, I'm just going to use Mr. Colour Wood Brown. Okay, and I'm not going to be too fussy about the finish. Okay, so it's actually quite a nice colour. I don't know what the colour in the real ship would be, whether it would be white or wood panels or whatever. But less rain in this one, but should be okay. Okay, that's close enough. I mean, like I say, what I've been saying all along, you're not going to see virtually anything in here. Okay, so with the insides painted, we'll just do some masking now so we can paint the outside. And we'll just put in some strips of masking tape to stop any overspray coming in through the windows and the doors. Okay, we're all masked up. Start spraying now. Okay, so that's it sprayed up. To be honest, I'm not 100% happy with the finish. I think the brown, I thought it's an okay colour. Seems to have sprayed very coarse, and I think some of that oversprays got onto the outside, and it's left a bit of a rough finish. You can see a smooth section where I cleaned off a little nib. It stuck to the surface. So what I think I'll do is I'll just go over the whole outside and just rub it down. So what I've done is I've removed the doors, and then I cleaned up the first attempt at the paint, and then I've redone the paint, and I'm a lot happier now. It looks much better. Or we'll fit the wood decks on, and we'll do the same as what we did for the lower deck. So we'll apply the gel medium. And then we'll use a dampened brush to push it down and clean up. Okay, that's that one. Okay, it's nice and quick and easy. I've also painted up the doors, so we're attaching these now. And for that, I'm going to use super glue gel. Of course, we just need to make sure that we get the hinges on the right side. Except that's the wrong side. We'll try again. Let's just double check and make sure I got it right. Okay. So I'm going to end the video there for a number of reasons. Firstly, I need to fix the deck with the new method before I can install the superstructures. Also, the video is getting a bit too long as it is, and there's still multiple parts to make. So the kit or Pontos doesn't supply any interior for the bridge, but KA models supply the ship's wheel, the compass binnacle and telegraphs. So we've got them to make and install here before we can put the bridge on. There's still a number of handrails to do as well as stairs. And the same for the rear bridge. KA models supply the ship's wheel and the telegraphs, etc. And again, there's still all the handrails to do. And we'll be replacing the kit for the tops here. Okay, so we'll end the video now.